Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You look lovely and lush in pink.
Oh, you too. You too. You look lovely too. What?
Do you know sometimes you just take a compliment? Honestly. It reminds me of like when sometimes people compliment you, say, "Oh, that's a really nice dress." You're like, "Oh, it was only £5 from Primark or whatever people say." No,
Yeah.
just a compliment. You look nice. You look
Oh,
lovely.
thank you. Thank you. I receive it. I receive it. I
Yeah.
think the Zoom filters are doing their work.
Because don't have filters.
I don't know. I blurred my background though, so I don't know if that's the effect. It's blurred. The
I don't think so. You look lovely. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How it's almost Christmas.
I know. Are you feeling Christmassy? I saw you posted something recently.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Your Christmas tree.
yes. Finally got a tree Izolo actually.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
It's always fun like decorating it, but I hate like after Christmas when you have to start taking things down and
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a chore.
I know. But I think it's a shame to like not get into it. So I think you encouraged me because we spoke before. You're like,
Mm.
oh yeah. So I was like, okay, might as well. Might
Yeah.
as well.
You
Uh,
have
huh?
what color did you go for? What color scheme did you go for?
The color scheme, bruh, I just it's just a green tree, and then I got like uh
Okay.
gold balls from M&S. Then my aunt had like blue. I don't know. Do you call them balls? I don't know.
Baubles, maybe.
So there's a bit of gold, red, and
And blue.
blue.
Okay. Okay.
It's not like it's something that's been well thought out.
Okay. I'm sure
But
it looks as long as the tree is up and you're in the Christmas spirits, that's all that we can have.
yeah, slowly, but I haven't bought any gifts. I don't know if you noticed, I'm big on birthdays. I'm not big on Christmas.
Yeah, I know. So we had this discussion, did we? And I was just like, also, it takes me a while. I think
Yeah.
more so now over the years, I've become a little bit more Christmassy.
Yeah.
Like, I've never really been, not never, but I've not always been a Christmas person. So we've got our tree up, we've got a few presents under the tree,
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. But I'm also just, anyway, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. But
Okay.
things like gift wrap and all that
Yeah.
looks pretty and everything. And then like I just think the environment, trees.
Now you care about the environment?
I've always cared about the environment, excuse you. I've always cared. But yeah, so I did though. I got some gift wrap and wrapped the presents and put them under the tree. Although I was really tempted just to
Yeah.
leave them as they were. But anyway, it'll soon be Christmas, it'll soon be the end of the year, and
Yeah.
then people will start with their New Year's resolutions,
I know. I know.
you know.
It's
Anyway, kudos to you if you still do New Year's resolutions, by the way. Do you do resolutions?
yeah. I think goals. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think like last year what my I'll have things that I mean the thing that has always been on my list for the past 2 years is get a new car.
Mm.
I mean that's not a resolution, right? I think that's more like a goal.
Yeah.
Lose weight
Always. Yeah, same.
is always on the list. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What have I done? So okay, so what have you done in 2022 that you it may not have been a conscious like written goal, but you look back and you're like, I'm proud. Um, or oh yeah, I did that.
Um, Gosh. So I definitely didn't have anything written
Yeah.
because I think for me 2022 was just about survival, just embracing change and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um, but what have I achieved? Gosh, I'm sure there's loads of things.
Yeah.
Um, I think leaving my toxic workplace, that
Mm,
was a massive, massive goal.
Yeah.
But not that that's not really important.
It
Um,
is. Work is so important. We spend most of our time there.
Definitely, yeah,
So imagine being miserable. Like,
yeah,
it's a big thing.
yeah. Gosh, like that's terrible. Please quiz me on that a bit later on because I
Mm.
need to. I need to
You
kind of
moved house,
I did,
moved to a
I
new
did.
place. You've managed to kind of like, I think it's bringing people like I can only imagine like, bring like blending families. I think you've managed to do that. I think that is, don't overlook that.
I
Um,
think, yeah.
Liana sent one,
Mm,
she's fine. Um,
yeah.
you've
It.
you kept her alive.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. No. So that is a lot. That is.
Got engaged.
I did. Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It was not that it was a goal or a resolution
Okay.
to engage
Yeah.
2023. No, it wasn't. But yeah, and there's a lot that's happened.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sometimes equate it because I guess it's happening to
Yeah.
me kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And how about you? So you've conquered health.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a big thing, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that was a bit of a scary time.
Yeah. I think for me, it's probably just health and fitness. I was
Yeah.
not if I didn't lose like loads of weight, but
No,
I
but
feel
it's
fitter. Like
yeah,
I got
stronger.
fitter and stronger.
Mm.
Um, so I was really happy about that. And
Yeah, and your consistency as well. Like you're so if there's anything that you were, it was like you're consistent
yeah,
with your CrossFit.
yeah.
You also, oh, I don't know. I was just about to say something, but I realized you can't maybe say it. But with you finished that project at Birmingham, so you know,
The Commonwealth Games. So
yeah,
I think it was a good work year for me actually.
mhm,
Like I did work that I enjoyed.
yeah,
Um yeah.
and also your crew thing as well.
Oh yeah, but that was 2021. But I mean, yeah, it was but it was
It.
late 2021. Mm-hmm.
That's mad.
But I mean, it's still like a big win.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
That's
yeah,
my youth have merged all into one. Yeah, so it's been overall, it's been a good year. There's this verse I've been like, what's the word? Just kind of
yeah.
reflecting on. I don't know where it is in the Bible actually, but it's something about Lord, crown my year with goodness.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
wow.
so I really like that, and I've just been like, you know what? May the end of the year just be
Yeah,
crowned with goodness,
that's good.
and the start of the year as well, crown it
Yeah,
with goodness. So
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
a nice little verse, isn't it?
No, no, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, crown my
Yeah.
ear, goodness. Let me write that one down. Let me look for it.
Write it down, sis. Write it down.
Let me look for it. Not to get into my evangelical biblical bag, but I've been reading like the book of Ruth.
Okay.
I don't know, for some reason, like I've just been like, well, I listen mostly like a new version, so I've been
Mm.
listening because it's only 4 chapters. Because like with Ruth, like it's like, oh, um, now, well, what Naomi, is the mother-in-law, and then
Mm.
Ruth and Orpah, and the whole like, oh, I'll leave your people, become my people, whatever.
Mm.
And it's
Mm.
just I've been listening and there's a thing where like I hope I'll articulate it in a way that makes sense, but like when like Boaz, when Ruth meets Boaz and all that stuff, and then she goes back to her mother-in-law, and she's like, oh, Boaz, basically sort of saying, oh, maybe he may have an interest, or
Mm.
something, right?
Mm.
And then like Naomi says to Ruth, like, be still, my daughter.
Mm.
Basically say, I did find the verse. It says, be still, my daughter, and says that the men will not rest until the issue is accomplished. And for me, it's just been about the powerfulness of stillness,
Mm. Mm.
of
Mm.
like basically just staying still, like maybe when you're unsure and whatever. And it's just been like, it's, I don't know, maybe if someone's listening, they're probably thinking, what? But it's just like sometimes
it makes sense.
you rush to react, rush to, and it's like, and it's just like, no. The man will not rest until the issue is accomplished. And then I be kind of thinking, like, how it's not my battle, it's the Lord's. And it's like, you know what? Be still. Like there's power in stillness. Like there's power in, even if you think about, I'm getting into it. I told you to stop, not to preach. Even like when Jesus, when there was the trouble in the storms and they were in the waters, and it's like, be still.
So yeah.
So that's just been my thing. It's just like, be still, be still. So
yeah. No, I like that. I've always had this mantra that, you know, when things are going astray, or when you feel that things are not going right or the way that you want them to, like I always imagine somebody just throwing like dust in the air, right? It could not be dust, it could be something, whatever it is, but then it for a second or you know, split second, there's a time when things are just up in the air, you know, and then they start falling down, those dust particles start falling down. And I always imagine myself that, you know what, things are still a bit crazy right now, but things will settle, you know, and eventually you start seeing it. Like if you're to throw, whether it's fairy dust, whatever dust up in the air on a black surface, you'd end up start seeing things like down. And that is something that has carried me through the years, that, you know what, things at the moment are up in the air, but it will settle, you know. It's going to take some time. It might take a day, it might take a few hours, it might take weeks, it might take months, but eventually you will start seeing things on that paper. You'll be able to kind of make things, jiggle things around, kind of thing. So, but yeah, no, that's powerful. Listen, guys, you see, you know, our listeners will be thinking we are very dynamic hybrids of women, you know, as a mixture, we do a bit of everything, you know. But yeah, so I like that, and I hope that somebody listening will use that stillness, use that metaphor in the future as well. If things when things are tough times, when tough times come.
But
anyway,
into it.
Straight into it, yeah. So we spoke like a few days ago.
Yes.
And I wondered, you know, from your phone, if you can again bring up, you know, when was it we started the pod? 3 years ago?
Yes, January 2019.
Yeah. And do you remember where we went to? Do you remember that place in Oxford Circus? In the cafe where you went down, and down to the basement, down to the dark dungeon, like, you know, place of thought. Anyway, so I was thinking, I think it would be really nice to kind of to start off this episode with what we wanted to achieve when we started the pod. And also, can I just say to everybody who's listening today, we've got special, exciting news. So you need to wait up until the very end. Yeah, you can't, because we're not saying it now. You need to be invested.
We're marinating it.
We're marinating it. But so I want you to keep that at the back of your head as you're listening. So yeah, go for it.
So we did this thing, like, so we wrote out like what we wanted to achieve by you know, starting a podcast. So we were like, we wanted to amplify our voice with the intention of influencing and shaping conversation on political, social, entertainment issues.
Okay. So don't read them all at once. I want us just to marinate each and every. So marinate each point. So the first one was, just say it again, please.
Amplify our voice.
So to amplify our voice through political, social, whether through political or social, like situations, or you know, and from day dot, I think that's something that we managed to do. I think from the political front, you definitely raised the bar in terms of sharing your knowledge and opinion about what was happening in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sorry.
That's right.
So you raised, I feel like from a political front, you definitely raised the bar in terms of sharing your voice, sharing your opinion in what was happening on the mother continent of Africa. You know, I remember you sharing things of what was happening in, was it Burundi?
Yeah, probably. I think so. Yeah.
You know, from Tanzania, South Africa, so Southern Africa, Zimbabwe. You know, even though I remember throughout the years, you just a resounding comment that you made was, "I'm just tired. I'm tired of politics."
I'm just
Yeah.
doing just for doing. Do you remember that Julius Malema video? I'm just tired.
I'm just tired. So, and you said that, and you know, you literally, but you know what? You literally kept going. You kept going with it. You kept sharing information. You know, there's so much, and there's so much that I feel like I learned as well from being somebody who's very politically, like Africa politics naive. So you really shared that, and I think from a social point of view, we took. There's so much that we talked about. Um, like from domestic violence. Oh, wait, can I also just mention that we keep going back to that interview, Uncle Sana, Moyo. But yeah, so I think that's a massive tick for us. I don't know. And then from a social point of view, I feel like that's something that we covered so much. Domestic violence,
Illusion of inclusion.
illusion of inclusion.
Talked about names, the importance of names.
Gosh.
We and maybe if I can read the other
Yeah.
say that we wanted to become one of the destinations for Zim diaspora conversation. And I think, yeah, you know, like I hear people talk about things that like we talked of, not that to say like we started the conversation, like, but I kind of feel like we did. And sometimes, you know, like things just become part of the psyche, and then people don't really sort of like know exactly like where it's come from. It's like, but I know it came from us. Like we talked about the black tax, we talked about you know, the luxury of being able to say I'm proudly Zimbabwean. Remember when we were with Novuyo, when we're just talking about that, it's like that actually the reason why some people don't say that they're Zimbabwean is because I mean there's a whole raft of issues, but also like if you're in SA, listen, you'd rather assimilate, like, you know, if you're a ZANU-PF child with Santon money, of course you're proudly Zimbabwean, you're in Santon, you're with the high rollers. But nxa ungubheka umuzi Dube, bruh.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It really is tough. Um, and you know, there's so many other things that we talked about. I think from a personal level as well. And I say this like the past 3 years, I feel like I have grown so much as a person because some of the things that we spoke about, and this platform being a safe space to kind of air those social psychological issues as well, and kind of doing a bit of research. It's been good. What other things?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like the motherhood series that you did recently, I think that's quite powerful. You know, I mean, I'm not a mom, but I enjoyed listening to the conversations that you guys had. And I saw a lot of people sort of saying that. And I remember I was even saying to you, I was like, oh man, like you could actually do a little bit more with this. Like you could even have like a WhatsApp group or something, or you know, because I think people kind of yearn to kind of hear the experiences, and also people sort of feel like, yeah, like if they're being moms in the diaspora, there's information, but a lot of it is like for white people, right, wherever we are, right? So there's hardly any content that is catered to, you know, the general sort of like Western way of doing things, but also incorporating our culture. Like, what do you do with Inkanda? You know, what do you do with, you know, these things that are from home, but actually are really important.
Yeah, no, definitely. There is so much that we covered on
Mm.
that series, and so
And the
much
Lit and
more.
Skies, the literature stuff that we did.
Yeah.
I think I enjoyed, like, we had Sunyati, we had Novuyo, we had
Yeah.
Rihima. Um, I'm trying to think who else did we have, like, from a book point of view. And I think I just always enjoyed just how you used to like delve into the
Yeah.
books, and I'll just be there like,
It was,
"Phew."
I think
So what was your
basically,
inspiration? Like generic questions. What was your inspiration? But God is like, so on page 152, you said.
listen, I remember those days, like, and gosh, there's so much I miss already. And one of the things I miss is being able to kind of really delve into a book and
Yeah, yeah.
finish it within a few days. But yeah, what is anything else that we said from our pop?
Okay, let me bring it up. Oh gosh, sorry. So there was something about just like us wanting to show that um there's something about just amplifying the Southern African voice, because in the diaspora it's mostly like West Africans. But then zeroing in on that, it was just something about like even being Zim Ndebele women. Like we really wanted to be like, we're proudly Zim, and most importantly, we're proudly Ndebele, and we want to show that as Ndebele women, we can actually produce quality,
Gosh, dude, that brings tears to my eyes because do you know there is something about that, like the whole, like the Ndebele essence of things. And I tell you that I look back at, the past 3 years and how I myself have become more proud of being, Zimbabwean,
Yeah,
being
yeah,
Ndebele and all that. And I feel like this platform has really raised that within me as well. And I know for a fact that there's other people who listen in and are like, oh, you know what? Like that's that sense of belonging,
yeah,
that we get from that community, and even people saying like, oh, I feel like you guys, when I'm listening to you guys, it's like you're my two big sisters and we're just sitting down having conversations.
yeah,
So that has been,
yeah,
that's great. Is
yeah.
there coffee in there or is it vodka?
Hmm?
What are you drinking?
Oh, it's coffee. It's proper
Okay.
coffee.
Okay,
Um,
fine.
yeah,
Sorry.
and we say that um I told said about the destination. We wanted to become the destination for interviews. We've talked about that. And we wanted to create community. So
Mm,
we wanted to bring people together. And
mm,
I think we did that. I mean, there's so
wonderful.
many people that I know who became friends through Galen Skies,
Mm,
through either like the comments listening, or and
mm,
then COVID during the lives, the Instagram lives. I
mm,
think we really created community.
mm,
And I see like some people like with flourishing friendships, and I'm like, I know that we helped to kind of curate people
mm,
and like bring
mm.
people together, like that shared interest. And
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I think that's good, because there's so much loneliness and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have also covered loneliness. So if you're listening and you haven't listened to our podcast, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
Drafting into newscaster. Yeah, but so it's been good. Was that everything?
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, it's so nice to kind of, I think at the end of the year kind of reflect on that
Yeah.
because I think it's important to acknowledge where we have been and where we have come from, how we started, and all this.
Mm.
And it's particularly important for me because, like I said, we have got exciting news. That exciting news is still coming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's important for me to kind of sit down and just kind of take stock of the pod, of us, where we have grown as friends, as a friendship, as a friendship couple,
Yeah.
um, kind of thing. So we too, we've had like our little run-ins, haven't we? off the pod, on the pod. We've had things that we haven't agreed on. You particularly not agreeing with my guts. And I was like, oh, my gut instinct is we need to do this after we spent 2-3 hours in the studio and we have paid. And I'm like, no, we need to do this again. But it's been an evolution, I think. And I have, like I said a little while ago, that this platform for me has also been it's been growth. I've seen how what a positive impact just speaking has, and for one who has not always been very open and always had my cards closely to my chest, I've come here and just spending time with you, who's so like wears your heart on your sleeve, and it's been growth for me. And I say all this to say that it really saddens me, but this is going to be my last Patreon recording for Girl in Skies podcast. And it's just that it's not just, actually. I feel like saying just kind of makes it a little bit more minimalistic, and it's not. It's quite it's deep, and what I will share with you is just stuff that is on the surface, I suppose. But I guess things for me have changed in such a way that I'm not able to dedicate myself in the same way that I was before. And there is nothing that I hate more than a job that is half done, a job that is not where one is, you can tell that there is a little bit of that you're there physically, but mentally you're elsewhere. And I don't think I'll be doing our listeners, I don't think I'll be doing you, Nat, any favors, because I feel it wears me down knowing that I'm not doing a good enough job. And I've always said that I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I like things to be good, and I like things to be good for everybody who listens. And when I listen back to some of the episodes where Ulili has been running around, I just know that I haven't been able to give my all for that. So that's reason one. I think reason two is I also don't want to let you down. And I feel like even just recording today has been such a challenge, because I was like, okay, we'll do it 11:30. So it was 11 first, because Lily will be sleeping. I babulaed the child at 10:30, 11:30. She was still eyes wide open, and I just feel so guilty thinking that, gosh, someone is waiting. Your time is important, and the listeners' time is important, because they've also been waiting for my episode to come, and they're not coming. So it's just not just. Will not use the word just, because it's not minimalistic. It is the point in time where I am, where I feel my energies are really being consumed by one little person. And yeah, so I need to kind of literally park the recording for a while. I need Nat to kind of really recapture her time, because that is important. I need you guys also to not be waiting anxiously for an episode to drop that you are like, oh, are they or aren't they? What's happening? And it's mostly been because of me, whether it is my lack of ability to drive down to the studio, like we should be in the studio today, and there's all these things. And I fully believe in giving something. If you're going to do something, then give your all. And it's just literally, and I'm now rambling a bit, so I'm going to say this and then I'm going to stop. I constantly think at how maybe think if things were different, how I would be able to do this if I was working part-time or if I was, and I'm very envious. I look at the girls like the receipts, it's because, what's her name?
Milena, Milena.
Is a mom
Mm.
so both of the two of them, isn't there? And they're both like moms to no, sorry, one.
Yeah, this Milena.
This
But her
Milena
daughter's
who's
older. I think her daughter's like 7 now.
oh is she?
I mean, I don't know how old she was when she started. Probably
Yeah,
2, 3 or whatever.
yeah. So it's just, I look at that and I think, gosh, I and I think that was a driving force within me. I was like, if other mothers can do it, then why can't I? But I just appreciate now that in Bilazifani, things are different for people at different times. And right now, things are different for me. So it's a desire that I will come back at some point, and whether it is doing something for books and literature, because that is my love. I was driving down the other day, I was even thinking, I was like, gosh, imagine having like I saw this really nice coffee shop, and I was like, oh, it'd be so nice. Imagine just having books in there, and like having Nats coming to record in there. But yeah, just talking about books because that has been a love of mine.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm going to stop there.
No, you were not rambling, and uh, thank you. And I just want to say, for me personally, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your drive. Um, you brought structure because I do not have structure. I have ideas and I get excited and I just want to execute them. But then you're the one who's like, have you thought about this? And I'm always like, yeah, that was that was probably right. And because like my gut is telling me that, and it's like, okay, like at first you're like, and then you're like, okay, no, and I think I remember, I think when the guys were doing a Father's Day episode, I think the first time, was it the first time? Yes. And I think you asked them, you're like, oh, what? I forget the framing of the question. You were like, something about me and you, whatever. And then I think Mtor said, basically, he's like, well, you're like gin and tonic. You go well together. I was like, oh, I love that.
Right.
He was
Right.
like, yeah, you can't drink gin on its own. I mean, some people can, but it's not good for
Yeah.
you. And tonic water also is not the greatest to have on its own. So he was like, you're like gin and tonic. And I was like, oh, I love that. And you know what? Honestly, I know my mom used to always say this thing of like, I remember one time, there's an uncle of mine, when I was graduating, they basically like did like a graduation party for me and they were at the forefront. And I remember I was thinking, I was like, and it was around about end of the year time. And I was saying to my mom, I was like, how can we thank them? Like, what should we get? Whatever. And she was just like, you know what? There are some things that people do that you cannot thank them. And the only way you can thank them is, I'll say it in Ndebele, is right? And what that means is you can only thank some people by forming long life relationships with them and almost being like family. Like that's the only way you can thank people, because you cannot thank them like for like. For and that's how I feel about you. That honestly, like I can say thank you with 1,000 tongues and it will not be enough, because you know I'm a dreamer and it's so difficult to come across people who indulge in your dream. And I was just like, I mean, pre-COVID, I mean, uh, not thank you for COVID, but because COVID sort of like introduced Zoom and stuff like that. But I was just thinking, every week we used to go to the studio after work. right? So this is you're coming from wherever you're going to the studio for like 8 p.m. Sometimes we would stay till like midnight and we're working the next day. But we just had that
Mm.
drive and it just and I'm like, there's no one like I can guarantee there's absolutely nobody like who could have done that. Like there's no one. And I know like when people talk about podcasts and stuff like that, or some people be like, oh, you know, I remember I think I had a conversation with someone about doing a podcast or something, and I look back and I'm like, there's no one who would have like that was just not like people like that's why podcasts what like 30 episodes like people are gone, they don't even say bye, they see no content, no like no, they don't say bye because it's it's interesting, but you slowly realize that the gains are very slow. The commercial aspect of it is slow. So anyway, just back to like I said, I can't like my favorite part of just the podcast has just been recording with you. We've had great guests, but my favorite is always just been recording with you. I always remember like perspective taking. I don't know why that episode really always kind of stuck with me. Just the conversation, and even when we talked about apology languages, even just that, I learned so much from you. Like you've got so much grace. You're not easily flustered. No, seriously, like I mean, me, I'm very emotional. I'm
I
very
know.
reactive. Like I will, but you're very like cool, calm, you know, and I've learned so much from you. And again, even just going back to just from the time you were pregnant, we were still going to the studio, you know, during the time you're pregnant, peak COVID times, and literally like yeah, and then obviously like after having the baby and all these things that you're saying, I'm pretty sure that there are people that are listening who also have families, and maybe you don't even need to have a family to understand like the time tensions. But I think especially when you've got like a young child, family, husband, and all that sort of stuff, I think everyone can understand that it's just not easy. And I'm sure like I think you had mentioned that somebody was like, how do you do it?
Mm.
um because I think people sort of understand. So for me, I just want to say thank you. It's quite sad, um you know, but I'll stop, and then because obviously there's more, but I don't know how we should continue.
Well, I think it's just I don't think there's a right or a wrong way, but thank you. And thank you for your kind words. And likewise, my favorite part of Girl in Sky's podcast has always been you. You've your take on things. You're so unknowingly funny, and bold. I think even on things that I was like, oh gosh, things that I would think, I was like, oh, Natasha's going to say it. And of course you would. Of course you would, So, and I think, you helped me become bolder as well. Like I've grown so much, and it's not just the podcast, it's also because of you, the way you are and the way you interact with the rest of the world is just I've learned so much from that. And I will always, and like you said, like your mom said, I'll always hold you very close to my heart. But so now that we've discussed the sadness, there is joy. And like I said, we've also got something very exciting to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to kind of be in the know of what it is, because I think you guys, as you're listening, you should mark this day, because it's going to be one of those things that you look back in the years to come and be like, oh wow, do you remember back in 2022 that um this started? Because it's exciting, it's new, it's fresh, and I think moving on from the pod, not moving on from the podcast, but moving on from Girl in Skies is the birth of something new, which
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave Nat to now to come in and share.
Okay, but remember we have to. So we've talked about you. This is your last Patreon recording,
Mhm.
but then we've got the other. Okay, okay. So
But the other,
the other side, yeah, no, but because we haven't said that the about the pod generally. We haven't said what the future of the pod.
okay, so the future of the pod is over to you because
Okay,
this is the this
okay,
is our last patron episode as Girl in Skies.
yeah, yeah. So this is our
However,
last Patreon episode as Girl in Skies. Um, so you're probably thinking, okay, so what happens to the podcast? What happens to Girl in Skies? So I've been doing a lot of thinking. So I think Xolie and I sort of have had like this just continual conversation about the pod most of this year. And obviously kind of hoping things would settle and hoping we'd get into a rhythm. And always had like, big plans like, oh, we want to do this, want to do that, want to do this. So we're in December. So actually, like when so Xolie mentioned, well, mentioned like Xolie told me like, okay, you know what, I think this is like my decision is, to step aside from the podcast. And that was in October. And then I was like, oh my God, what? Like, I mean, but like in your head, it's obviously one of the scenarios, but then you don't like to hear it. You're like, oh my God, you know. Um, so and then at the time, please jump in, Xolie. Because you were like, you know what, go ahead, with the podcast. I give you my blessing. And I don't know if you want to jump in.
and yeah, I said, I remember I said to you particularly that I don't want this to be the end of the pod because I just know how well you can, how well you could do even if I'm not there, kind of thing.
Well, it's Xolie underselling herself again. But so I was like, okay, like what? So I had to kind of sit down with myself and I was like, what would the future look like? Right? Because you guys know we've been doing like these interviews, having people come, which is great. Thank you to everyone that's taken their time and have really enjoyed. And I think we've got a lot out of that. And I absolutely enjoy that. But then I don't know, like I'm what I enjoy about Gelit's guys is just the conversation. Like me and Xolie coming together and being like, "Ooh, what is PDD saying? What is Nick Cannon doing
And
now?"
he's impregnated.
Who's, what's happening in Zim? Oh my God, ED. Um, and so for me, I think initially, like, in me it was like, okay, so realistically, how can I continue, right? Um, that was my question. Okay, like how can I do it? And then I was like, I don't want another co-host, because no, okay, for two reasons.
Wow. When I heard you say that, I was like, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No. It's for two reasons. One, let me explain. Um, I don't know. Maybe there isn't a right or wrong. Like, I'm not a fan of when people do musical chairs. Say like with shows, like say podcast and chill with Mac G, like when Soul came on, and obviously
Mm.
now with Soul, it's like it's grown, but obviously like it's like what happened to Len?
Mhm.
With Joe Budden, for example, it's like Rory and Mal, like they and sometimes it's not a bad thing, right? But it's just like I don't know, there's something in me, maybe which is like loyal to a default, like to a fault, sorry. And I just there's something I don't like when I feel like people just move on like with content with like I don't know, like it kind of feels a bit there's just something I don't like about it, me, not just personally as a listener and as a fan.
Yeah.
Um, so that was number one. And then number two, like honestly, like I mentioned this. Um, so a big part of Gellin's guys is really like my friendship with Xolie. Like,
Please don't cry,
gosh,
man.
I wasn't supposed to cry. Sorry, I was supposed to cry. Sorry. Like, it's just been this woman means so much to me. Um, I can't even explain it. You know, just we've grown so much over the past 3 years. I know there's been changes, and I know like sometimes maybe I haven't reacted well to the changes, but it's just because like I I hold so much space for you. Um, and I think that's the thing with me is just like I hold like I am very like friendly and know people, but I don't have any friends. Like I literally don't. Probably have like five or less. And so the big part of the podcast is my friendship. And for me, I just felt like, man, like no one, like it's just like, and that's the other cause, but it's just like no one is gonna do like I can't ask of anyone else what I so easily took for granted with God. Like there's just no one that would do that. No one with the level of talent, the level of being able to confidently talk, engage, just natural oozing talent. I was just like,
You say that, but you know, I don't know. I think there has it's really nice it's really nice that you think that and that you I still get over I still can't get over the fact that we've known each other for a mere about 3 years now. But you are somebody I hold so, 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 so dear to me. Like, I even though this is the end of the for us recording together, um, it's definitely not the end of, you know, I will hold you forever, forever in my heart. Like I cannot see a point in my life where you are not going to be there. Like I genuinely can't see that. And thank you. There's been so many, and when what you've so eloquently articulated in a space of, just with just a few words, is, when I say that you have made me bold, there's so many things, Nat, that when we first recorded, I was so scared. Like I have been so fearful. I've been fearful of the sound of my own voice. But I think one of the things that I really um, appreciate from you is that you really when I say that you have made me bolder, you do not like I don't think you probably understand like what that means to me as a person. You know, I speak up a lot more now, even in situations where I probably shouldn't. You know, I'm not like um but it's because of you, you know, for you to say that I was confident. I guess maybe I appeared confident. Oh gosh, thank God this is Patreon. But I was really fearful, you know, I was really fearful. I was fearful of a lot of things. But I knew that venturing into the world of podcasting with you by my side, because you just take on absolutely anything. There's nothing. And when I say there's nothing that you think we can't do, I am the one holding the reins. Like, no, Natasha, take a moment here. But you have made me so bold. Um, and which is why I am excited for the next step for you, which I think you should get to.
Okay.
I'm really
So,
excited for that.
yeah. So I guess say this to say, guys, in addition to this being Xolie's last Patreon episode, it is also my last Patreon Gellen's Guys episode. And Gellen's Guys podcast is going to come to an end. We are going to put out another episode in January. So it will come to an end in January 2023, which will be what, almost 4 years, right? Yeah. 2020, 2021, 2022, 20. Yeah. So it'll be almost like 4 years of the pod, and it feels like the right time to do it. So yeah, so it'll be the end of Gellen's Guys podcast. And really, like I said, I I I just couldn't imagine going on without Xolie. And also I felt like, you know, at the beginning we talked about all the things we wanted to achieve, you know, being Ndebele women and showing that we can put out quality content, being part of the Zim diaspora conversation. And it's like we have done that. And because I knew that whatever format would be so different, right? It'll be probably interviews, guests. And it's like, I think I put myself in, like, if I was a listener, I'd be like, oh man, I miss like when Xolie and Nat used to come and talk about ABC, right? And I didn't want that sort of yeah, like just sort of hanging, you know, in a way. Um and okay, so okay, I'll get to so then I was sort of asking myself questions about and I spoke to my aunt who I trusted. She was like, okay, what is it that you want to do? Like, Veleganti, what is your end goal? Because even if you were to continue with Gellen's Guys, it will probably end at some point, right? Like it will probably end at some point. So I was like, okay, what is it that I want to do? I know that I want to create content. I love creating content, even if nobody watches, listens, reads. I'll always create content in some way. And then I was like, I've always said that, you know, I love talk shows. Like I love The View, The Real, you know, Wendy, Oprah. Like it's so funny. There's something that I was reading about. There's certain things that you gravitate towards and you think everyone does. And then you look back and you're like, no, I gravitate towards these things more than the average person. And it tells you about you, right? So I was like, okay. So I knew that I wanted to continue creating content. I knew that the end goal for me, I don't know if it's end goal, is I would love to have like a talk show. And I'm even scared saying that loud. because I know it just sounds ridiculous.
It doesn't though. It really doesn't. It really, really doesn't. And guys, this is the exciting news. And I just wish you were saying it with a little bit more enthusiasm.
Okay. Okay. I think you should say it. Okay, so Gellin's Guys is gonna end. And it feels like the right, we've done what we wanted to do. And I think what I say to girls is I kind of see it like, like when a band takes a break, like Backstreet Boys, Jealous, Sugar Babes, whatever. And from time to time they do reunions. The band comes back.
Oh, I
So
can't wait.
so that's kind of how I see it, because I think there's still more life in Girl in Skies. But to be fair to the audience and to everyone, I think it's okay to sort of put a bow and say, this was Girl in Skies, this is that. So that,
I agree. Yeah.
don't change the format.
Yeah.
And it just becomes something that's not recognizable. I think, because I wouldn't want to gain new listeners and then like all the old people like, what is, like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I say this to say, so what's next for me is, God willing, those who pray, please do pray. So when we put out the episode in January, my wish, don't know if it will be possible, my wish is that by the time we put out the episode or soon after, I will, so in that episode I will announce. And but yeah, so I'm gonna start like my own talk show / podcast.
Yay! That's
Yeah.
amazing. Guys, you should mark this day in mark this date on your calendars. Because
Yeah.
in the years to come, you'll be like, oh, we heard it first.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's the plan. I will start my own talk shows. I'm calling it talk show / podcast, because I still want an audio element of it. And the idea is it's all work in progress. There's still so much to be done, and I'm just gonna give myself time. This is now like a long term project. I'll be kinder to myself in terms of like putting out content. But the idea is it will be sort of like 3 shows in one or 3 themes in one. I'm still figuring it out. But then first will be interviews. So similar, I literally want to talk to people from all walks of life. So not just Zim. That's another thing. I think I was excited about moving away from the skies element, because I've loved it so much. But I think there's always that expectation that everything that you do is sky. It's sort of like, and that's fine, but then it's okay. So I want to do, but obviously still like a lot of focus on African diaspora. So I would love to talk to, like say someone who's a physician, who's doing, someone who is a director of nursing. Tell me how was the journey? Like, how did you start? Just like, it doesn't, I don't want to talk to just like known famous. It's just people that I can learn from, that we can learn from, that will get into just like what makes them tick. People doing research, people doing all sorts of things from all over. So if you guys want to come on, let me know, hit me up. So yeah, so the name of the show will be called Chat with Nat. I hope that rolls off nicely. Chat with Nat.
Chat Nat,
yeah. So let me show you. I've unblurred. So this is like, I got myself a light box.
Oh, Chat with Nat hashtag. I like it.
Yeah. So is it showing properly? Like oh, okay. Yeah. So that's anyway, that's my prop. And then let me show you this is a working, I've stolen from Gellin's Guys, but this is like my working.
Oh, Chat with Nat. Live conversations and the world. I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
So that's the I am so scared. I hope you guys will come on board.
Listen, you're gonna do amazing at this, Nat. You really are. This is something that you have within you. I think it's like to your very bones it speaks to. So I just know you're gonna do amazing with this. I see this. You're gonna do so well. Like I just know it. My gut.
Your gut is telling you.
My gut is telling me that you're gonna do amazing. And you'll be airing. I was saying to David, one day I'll be sitting here watching mainstream TV, and Natasha's going to pop up.
I
I just receive it. You will do well with this, and I will speak it into your life. I will pray upon it because if there's no one more deserving of this, you deserve to be the next Wendy, or even great, the next Oprah. Never mind, who is Wendy? Wendy who? The next Oprah. That's where you're going to go with this. These are your starting steps, but that is where you're destined for greatness. I truly believe that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So that's the thing. So like I said, it's interviews. And then another theme is what I'm calling the headlines, again, the working title. So it'll just be bite size where I come to you. So the whole concept is I will keep up with the headlines from the African continents that you do not have to. So I'll come to you with like, this is what's happening this week, in Burundi, in Zim, in wherever, whatever, whatever. Just put it in a way that you can just listen, maybe when you're going home. If I have time, do visuals, but just something like 10 minutes or less where you kind of just keep in the know so that when you go to like event, like when you go to like dinner parties, you're not the one person who's like, oh wow, that's crazy. When people start talking about when people start talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
you're like, oh wow, that's crazy. You're like, oh, does anyone want any drinks? Like, because you're like, I don't know what's happening.
Mm.
So I will. And then the third is what I'm calling the vibe, which will just be the fun, which will and hopefully the vibe will be more like maybe have people kind of reminiscent of sort of like Gillis guys and just yeah. But like I said, the content will be a bit slower. So I aim to start top of the year, maybe put out 10 solid episodes, take a break, come back end of the year. We'll see.
Okay. No, we look forward to it. We really do.
So yeah, guys.
Yeah, guys. That's where we're at, the end of something, the start of something beautiful. We're in that kind of bittersweet, yeah, bittersweet area, isn't it? It's new great things are coming, but it's obviously sad that this is coming to an end, to that
Yeah.
we, as we know it, are coming to an end.
Yes. And just to say thank you so much to you guys, to the Patreon guys. Your
Your,
thank
your patience.
for your patience, for your money, your hard-earned money. It makes such a big difference. It honestly, it makes such a big difference just in terms of the cost that we incur, like the annual sort of streaming thing we do on SoundCloud. We've been able to buy Zoom. When we've gone to studio, we've been able to use that. So
And
guys,
even the small things like which you probably don't mention, but the stuff when we're editing, because that's an app that you pay for monthly as well.
yeah,
So there's a lot. Your money has literally gone a long way to kind of keep us running. We haven't for a while now. We haven't really gone into our own pockets to kind of fund the running of the pod because you guys have every time we'd be like, oh, when we go to the studio, if we're adding visuals, that's extra money. When we're getting Brent to edit it, that's extra money. When we'll get so there's just all these other things that
yeah.
So it's gone a long way. So thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Honestly, thank you for believing in us.
Mm.
Yo, it's one thing to put out content. It's something else for people to kind of like
Yeah.
put like commit and give you their hard-earned money. Do not take it for granted. Guys, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. We are going to do like another main episode, which will come out in Jan. If there's anything that we've forgotten that you want us to highlight in the main episode, like let us know so that we don't forget. But I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us. Over 120 episodes. That is not including the ones we did not put out. That's not including Patreon, where we're over 17 episodes. Not even counting Instagram lives, not even counting the Zooms that we've done. I'm so proud of the community that we've created. We didn't get it right all the time. And thank you. Some of you were very okay to come and tell us that we were wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. But at the end of the day, we're just two ordinary people who just decided to
Two Zim girls, two Ndebele chicks with I don't know. We had that passion.
Yeah. We're not better than anyone, but hopefully history will do us justice.
Amen to that.
History will do us justice. So guys, sorry for the tears. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys, and a happy New Year.
Yeah, and please do like support, the other people that are there. Zim, it's really, really, really important. Filling station, 6 foot weights, brunch and bantu. There's a Blyer podcast. I've seen, the guys who used to do Blyer memes. Guys used to do Jolo FM. I think
they do, yeah,
a podcast. So I actually feel like, that's great because you have people in skies who are physically in skies that are doing, so actually we're leaving it in good hands.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And guys, support Nat as well. Like, she's gonna do great things. And it starts with us, us who ask the listeners, I'm now putting myself in the ask listeners. So it really does. So whenever you can, financially sharing stuff, just please do.
Yeah. And and like I said, Gellens guys, the band is just taking a pause. We will
listen, we should come back this time next year and we'll see what's happening.
What's happening.
What's new?
We should.
What new lives are happening? What's new?
Yeah. You see why I had to end the pod, because I was like, I don't need people in my business.
I am so excited for 2023. It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be an absolutely great year. So, guys, goodbye, Gellens Guys podcast. Peace out. 8 out. I was gonna do the receipts. But you know what? We will I'm doing like those adults, like in church where like I'm going and then you're waiting for them and then keep speaking to people. But no, we're gonna do great things. Xolie, you always have a home wherever I am, and I think when we need the book stuff at some point.
At some point, it will come.
We really do.
It will.
We've got Gellens guys. I mean, those things are going to remain. And hopefully you can come on Chat with Nat at some point.
Oh my God, please invite me.
Yeah. I think it would be good to even just talk about like just the career aspect as well. Because I think it's so important. I think sometimes people need to hear step by step what people actually did to help them. So let me keep quiet.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.